Welcome to Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and today is episode 6, Is God in Charge? In an old Twyla Paris Christian anthem, she sings, God is in control. We believe that His children will not be forsaken. God is in control. We will choose to remember and never be shaken. There is no power above or beside Him. We know God is in control. The daily Christian can sing, pray, and worship along these lines, but when it really comes down to it, do we accept and internalize the concept of God being in control? This particularly applies as we focus on current events within our nation. We see various factions running about crying low here and low there, forwarding competing views of reality, trying to convince us of right and wrong. Amidst increasing confusion, can we be completely confident that God is in control? The answer is an emphatic yes. God is in charge, but there's an important caveat. The great law of heaven is the free will and agency of man. We are left as agents unto ourselves to choose whether we will seek good or evil, truth or error, right or wrong throughout our lives. These choices are not always black and white. They are often never completely obvious. At times, the truth may be ensconced in various shades of gray, hidden in a myriad of words and opinion. As the Lord's Prayer states, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Ultimately, the Father of us all will see His will completed, for as Christ promises, Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words will not pass away. Indeed, is God in control of all things, temporal, political, and spiritual? But does He allow us freedom to act, to move things on our own? Can we exercise faith through the darkness and confusion of man's own doing? Can we do so while recognizing the hand of God, never abandoning Him? I had a wonderful friend years ago, a Christian convert who was the daughter of a Holocaust survivors. She lamented that her parents' loss of faith, as happened to so many from the horrors that occurred in Europe during World War II. There can be no God, they concluded, for a just God would never so abandon His people. He simply would never let such a thing happen. I submit this is a sad and misguided attitude. Even a God in complete control must let us play out our choices. Rest assured, His judgments will be just upon any who would perpetrate such horrors as we witnessed in that era, and many other injustices perpetrated in the name of state and power. As long as man is granted his free will, there will always be those who choose to use it for causes that do not benefit, or even oppress or destroy their fellow men. Yet amongst the confusion we may create for ourselves, God somehow manages to make things right in the long run. Let us ponder the eternal fates of the victims and the perpetrators of the Holocaust. A just God will easily judge the difference, and the eternal journeys of those involved might indeed be quite different. As we enter a time of increasing confusion in America, we need to hold fast to the idea that God's will is ultimately always realized. The confusion, deception, and hysteria we might experience are natural consequences of our own poor choices. The blessings, benefits, and prosperity we may enjoy also flow from our wise choices. And behind it all is a wise and discerning deity that gives us just enough rope to hang ourselves with if we are not careful. God is indeed in charge of things. We must remember that just because He has not intervened on a widespread basis lately does not mean He cannot or will not, should the occasion call for it. Ask Pharaoh's armies how that worked out when pursuing Moses. We can depend on God to make things right eventually, but His justice extends far beyond the confines of our mortal lives. In this sense, it becomes a matter of a wider, eternal perspective. His justice does not excuse us from doing all we can to champion just causes. It is up to us to discern what is true Christian principle, what constitutes God's will for each of us, and act upon it. In this way, God truly is in control if we will take the free will He has given each of us and apply it in the same manner we believe the Savior would if He were here. This is the most certain way to maintain peace and order, to dispel confusion and perpetuate the greatness that makes our country what it is. I hope each of us can learn and apply this critical overriding principle.